My childhood before the accident was pretty normal, great childhood. It was just a regular family, going to school, coming home, greeting the parents home, coming from when they were getting from work, and going out with friends. We were always a low-income family. That was always a struggle for us. But my parents always made sure we had everything we needed. He was very proud of me, of us. To him, the biggest, most happiest part of his life was his family. He was so dedicated to us. He was a very hard worker. He was always working on something. Whether he was not working at his job, at home, he was always doing something, working on the car, anything in the house that needed to be fixed, he was always doing something. He was not a person who just laid around and did nothing. And he was very happy, very friendly. He could make friends anywhere in an instant. Complete strangers, and just meeting a complete stranger and they're already friends. He was a great guy. And with this great personality, my sister Melissa was the youngest. And she was just a great person. She was always happy, always smiling. I think out of the three of us, she was the less troublemaker. I was usually the one who always caused the most trouble. And she was just kind of the baby of the house, and we always just really pampered her, really, took care of her. And we're always very aware of her being the baby of the house, just being the youngest, always. But she was just always so happy. I remember before the accident, we were going to a family event, and we were going out of town, and that was just normal for us. We would always go out of town to visit relatives. Before we came back, I actually asked my father. I said, may I sleep over with one of my cousins? Because we wanted to go to the carnival here in town the next day. And then he said, well, no, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow I can take y'all early to the carnival or something. So usually I would argue with him about it, but I just accepted it. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow then. And those were his last words to me. So I just got in the truck, fell asleep, and I was like, well, I'll be home. I'll wake up at home. I woke up and I was excited, thinking I'm waking up at home, ready to go to the carnival. I'm pretty sure my dad's gonna let me go, and he's gonna take us and we're gonna have fun. And I opened my eyes, and as I opened my eyes, it was my vision wasn't very clear. It was blurred, and then as it cleared up, I realized I was in a small room on this small bed, hospital bed, and I had things all around me, machines, wires, and I was scared. I had a band going around my left arm, and I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. And finally, when our nurse came in, I tried to speak to her, but I couldn't speak because I had a tube that was going in my mouth. So when I tried to talk, I couldn't. So the way we communicated was that she brought an alphabet, and I had to point at the letters to ask her about where I was, what was going on, where my family was, where was my mom, my brother, my dad, my sister. Where were they? What happened to them? Are they okay? I was just told that we were in the car accident and that we were all there, and that we were hit by a drunk driver. When I asked the doctor about my condition, he told me that I wasn't going to be able to walk anymore. And that was the first thing and the first part of the worst news that I found out. He told me that I had a spinal cord injury and that lost the connection from my brain to my legs, so I wouldn't be able to walk again. And at that moment I was like, well, there's nothing worse than this. It cannot get worse than this. And I think a few days later, whenever I had some family members who came to visit me, I asked them directly about my family, about my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister. They told me, Melissa passed away, as well as your father. And I was shocked, because I thought anything but that. I came back home and I was excited about getting out of the hospital. I was tired, but I was scared too, because it was me finally being out on my own and having to become independent, because I never thought that I would be able to do things on my own. I thought I was always going to be dependent on someone to do everything for me. I knew my dad wasn't going to be there and my sister wasn't going to be there. And sometimes that's one of the most difficult parts of the getting back home. Just kind of getting back into that regular routine, because it was never going to be the same routine as it was before. You know, overall, I think just surviving is the most difficult part, because the victims that are left surviving are the ones that have to deal with the everyday difficulties and stress, the stares, what other people say about it. It's just a difficult change, and just losing the loved ones. I think losing my dad and losing my sister was very difficult for me, and it still is. I still sometimes have a hard time understanding that they're just gone. And at some points I'm like, well, I want them to be here for these moments in my life.